Howdy, y'all.
Welcome to the FriendlyJordies podcast, where
one.
we're going to start off with something that I got sent yesterday by Bandwagon, who is a regular listener. So this happened today at not today. Whenever the Yours and Owls festival.
What did you call it before? Me and Owl.
Yeah, Me and You festival.
The me and
Scroll through
you.
these pictures, but basically what Jordan's looking at is like a bunch of kids being bashed up at the festival.
Hey, but the security guards were wearing bucket hats, so they're chill. And these chill bucket hat security guards are pushing some guy's face into the ground.
Whoa, can I see? That's wild, dude. You've really...
I got to ask though, assaulting this kid just straight out punched him in the nose. What the fuck?
I didn't know Christo went to yours and ours.
Isn't it amazing that whenever this happens...
Delayed reaction.
And it's not even the thought of Christo getting punched in the nose. That just happens regularly.
That's a weekly
It's the thought of him at yours and ours.
I just feel like, I don't know who even plays it anymore.
Well, he's just such a conservatorium music snob that the fact that he'd be sitting there being like, reverb pedal, please.
Frank Zappa
Where's
or
the
bust.
cicado?
Yeah.
But are you surprised that people get beaten up at Yours and Owls?
Whoa.
Dang.
Is that fake blood?
No, that's real
I'm
blood.
going to see this.
It does look like strawberry jam, but... Is his eye bunged?
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know. I don't know the dates. I just saw the pictures and they look pretty horrific.
God, look at that cunty guard.
Can I see?
He looks so proud of himself.
What I can do is, if Bandwagon allows, I'll edit these pictures for the YouTube cut of this
What's
podcast.
Bandwagon?
Bandwagon is a person.
Oh, gotcha. I thought it was like
I'm taking her name
I bet
because
you it is
that's
really POV Spotify.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
With a grand total of 60 bands.
So, Jordan, just describe it roughly for them.
Some guy got punched in the face, and there is a security guard who I'm imagining his name is Zemedvedev, and he seems very chuffed with the fact that he just made a guy's eye bleed.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's brutal.
Is that a common occurrence? Because I don't go to that many festivals. Not, right?
Isn't it?
No, that's not a common occurrence.
It's a common occurrence at clubs.
Well, and it should be.
Yeah. And it should be a very common occurrence in Newcastle.
Yes.
See, that's what you'd expect. Like, that should happen in Newcastle.
That should
not
happen in Newcastle. That should happen in any club in the world, but not a festival that is quote unquote promoting chill vibes in Wollongong. Like, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a little bit more. And look,
Bandwagon is actually Bandmole, but I swear your name on Instagram is Bandwagon.
Bandmole's better.
Bandmole.
But dude, like, yeah, that's a bit hectic. I mean, I don't know if we can exclusively blame the organizers, but because you can't vet all security guards. But let's just do that anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right on this one, Miss Love.
And as the Chinese very wisely say, a fish rots from the top.
Does it though?
Took me a moment to figure out what you're saying, but I also agree with that sentiment too.
Right.
Wait, a fish rots from the top.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It means that if there's something fucked up happening,
But a fish,
it's starting at the top.
but a fish doesn't rot from the top.
Well, maybe
Look,
Chinese
it's poetic,
fish do.
all right?
Okay,
What's wrong with you?
sorry, Jesus.
Your anti-Chinese bias is like, but it's not even true. Fish don't even
And
rot.
aren't you a musician? Aren't you supposed to be into things that aren't factual and just sound cool?
I did biology in high school, mate. I learned about osmosis. Fish rots from the inside out, from the top down.
Oh, a fish rots from the head, I think is the. But either way, top head,
whatever.
who cares?
We all knew what you meant.
Okay, so
didn't.
let's start off with our first news story / segment for the day. This is a light one. So that
Actually, before we get into that, can I just say, if you have more dirt on yours and ours, send it to me, because a lot of people have. And yours and ours, if you're watching, and I know that you won't because you're fans, but you just don't watch any of my content, you should be scared. You should be very, very scared, because my story is not uncommon, and it is by no stretch of the imagination the most fucked thing these people do. But let's continue on with the show.
Damn, they have been Me Too'd.
Ominous.
Yes. Is it a great Me Tooing the Me Tooers?
Yeah.
So nice.
For sure.
Me.
All right, well, how about we keep that for like
Me square.
the main vid if it actually does come out. But I feel like you've killed them.
You reckon?
You don't have to be like fucking Genghis Khan and be like, now we shall kill the entire family.
And I think that is how they refer to their employees. They're that kind of a company. We're a family. Are you actually from Wollongong? Not by a stretch.
Damn.
All right, okay, so now this is a story which is, and it's kind of, it's close to my heart because I care about, as you guys know, old people. I care about old people in aged care slightly more than you guys do, but there's this.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that was a thing.
And how could you like old people more than this man?
No, but like I care about the whole. I don't know. I always
I'm
wanted
part of the
to bring it
golden
up.
generation.
But anyways, like, you know, so there was this ABC investigation that revealed that a Greek Orthodox bishop connected to an aged care home where 45 people died from COVID was like living a very, very lavish lifestyle. So he was basically stifling money off of from that aged care. So $31 million were funneled by the church away from aged care homes, which then were reported as losses. And St. Basil's Aged Care were serving like party pies and sausage rolls for dinner. And he was basically showing that the aged care was in heavy loss as well as like living a pimp-ass life.
How do you think you're going to get away with $31 million? It must be like when you have a job at Hoyt's and you first start out by stealing a couple of Skittles packets and then you start stealing $400 a week. And I'm not incriminating anyone here apart from Torbs, who did exactly that when he worked at Hoyt's. But I think that's just what happens. You figure out the system and then you push it way too far. But don't you think even funneling 20 million is a bit...
Just take
like
one.
people, that's not really a rounding error, is it?
But you know, like, okay, I know this is a very fucked up opinion of mine, but I'm not even too concerned about like, funneling the money. I'm concerned about where you're fucking funneling that money from. Like, if someone figured out like this hack where they could get like every dollar on, I don't know, like venture capitalist acquisitions and shit, go all for it.
Well, that was our maths teachers in high school. Miss
Yeah.
Lovett,
Oh
Or
my
even,
God.
you know-
Can we talk about that?
Well, just replace the word computer whiz with fat Croatian man and venture capital scheme with public school.
Yeah.
But that's all we need to know. Go on.
Yeah, but you know,
Yeah.
even if it's like, you know how like travel agencies, and I know this for a fact, travel agencies, if they get corporate clients, they make sure that the air ticket is like around the world. They find the most expensive one, so their cuts higher because corporations don't care because they've got budgets for travel. So like public, look, obviously that's bad and everything, but I'm okay with that happening. I'm more concerned when like you're funneling $31 million and you're like feeding really old people sausage rolls. As much as I'm a fan of sausage rolls.
Yeah, the meat pies
but at the
weren't a
same
bad part of
time,
the
yeah,
story.
party pies, they're all great. But for children, for like really old people, that is most likely not ideal, you know, nutrition.
Were they Greek Orthodox?
Yeah.
Well, without sounding extremely racist.
I knew this was like, this is a very niche Christian sect which I am not part
That
of.
is
Hence, I
correct.
will blame it on the bishop.
And haven't we learnt the lesson? Beware Greeks bearing gifts. Still,
Is that a thing?
this is ancient wisdom.
Are you kidding me?
Probably older than that Chinese quote.
Oh, the top of the fish rods. Yeah. Holy crap! Yeah, Greek Orthodox. They are a crafty bunch.
Are they a crafty bunch? They don't seem it. They
Sorry,
seem-
what I meant to say is they're not a crafty bunch. That's
I
what
don't think so.
I-
How many cement lions do you need?
So much.
I honestly,
cement.
it's not even about the Greek Orthodox or like this particular person. I think it stems from like basically our politicians like giving up and not giving a fuck about aged care.
That's
just
true.
as a sector. They'd rather give it some money and be like, all right, you know, no one cares about old people in this country. And that's what I mean when I say that this is something that's kind of close to my heart.
Labour cares.
Labor cares more for sure, but I think this is more of like a society thing too. You know, we're obsessed with young people. Even when COVID hit,
It's a Western
all I could
problem.
hear was like couples talking about, like, oh, I wish I'm so worried for my fucking infant. And like, your infant's gonna be fine. Your kids are gonna be fine. It's affecting really old people. Like, how come I never hear you be like, what about my grandma? And like, they're like, whatever. Like,
It's a Western
she lived her
problem.
life. You know?
It's a lame Western problem that we've somehow imported from America. Like in America, they just shelve their old people like, you know, Toy Story toy paraphernalia in essentially like cardboard boxes, just giant like Blade Runner-esque pods. And it's like shameful to have them in your house. So like I think it's so lame. That's what's cool about Europe and Italy and stuff. They're just like, yes, Giuseppe lives on the top floor, my grandma's in the basement, and the 10 families in the main house. Like, damn straight.
Yeah,
It is a
my
Western
favorite feature of Two's house, my girlfriend.
It's great, isn't it?
It's the fact that she has a grandma in there that can't speak a word of English, shuffling around,
Banoi.
boiling rice. Yeah,
If I may.
Banoi.
Yeah.
And my only interaction with her is, hello, Banoi, to which her response is, hello.
But don't you think
That's nice.
it's that I agree with you that like
Old
in the
people
West we don't have
are-
respect. We don't have respect for old people.
Yeah, but it also like it is tough because look, I have a grandma that lives right next door. She's like over close to 100.
Respect,
and
dude.
it is very difficult because old people, every part of their body hurts. They are not in a good mood ever. Like this happened legitimately yesterday. So I go to my grandma, right? And she's complaining about how my auntie is basically abusing her because she would never buy him a new toothbrush. And she said, my toothbrush, it's so old. There's basically any brush left on it. So I was like, oh shit, that's bad.
She can't
So I
afford-
go and I get a toothbrush and then I bring a new toothbrush for her. And she's like, oh my God, thank you. And my auntie told me, do you know what the problem is? I have bought her several toothbrushes, but because she's so old and almost blind, she always uses it the other way around. And she's like, it's done. And then she would throw a new one. It's like, I want a new one now. And that's pretty much that's a thing that she, like, even today, her caretaker is this Filipino lady, and she's so nice. She's like, I thank her every second. I was like, oh, you're taking care of my grandma and you're doing all of this shit work. Thank you so much. But my grandma's always like not talking to her nicely. She used to not be like this, but when you get really old, you stop giving a shit. And there's a whole communication barrier between them because my grandma does not speak a word of English. To be fair, neither does that Filipino lady. She
How
speaks
is that gonna
Filipino
work?
and my grandma speaks Urdu, and she's at some point, she's looking at her and going like, basically in Urdu, like, bitch, what the fuck are you even saying? And I was laughing.
That is a sitcom. I would watch that. If you live streamed their whole lives, I would watch the shit out of that.
Baby, my point is that it is difficult. Like, old people they become worse. So much more annoying to hang out with.
That's true. But
Just take some Simpson wisdom of, we're going to ship you off to an old person's home. You already did. Well, we'll ship you off to one of the bad ones, like in 60 Minutes. Oh, be good.
no, I'm
Gotta threaten them.
It's good to
No,
have.
you don't have to threaten it. You just have to take
I don't know how
it.
good they have it.
No, you have to take it.
I mean, I have to say, I used to teach art at an old folks' home, and I tell you, that's the sweet life. 3 square meals a day,
All of them party pies.
sit in front of the TV, watch McGonagall till all the hours of the day. You get jelly. It's a nice
What do they
garden.
watch? Is it Murder, She Wrote?
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
The Beale? A lot of cop shows.
What's that one called? MacGyver. You know, all the good stuff.
Anything with a detective that has a moustache. Doesn't matter if they're saying, well, this is all curious then, isn't it? Or, Florida's a pretty good state.
Yeah, all of those. But, you know, it's not that bad. That's just from my experience.
But don't you think, like, is there any way, and now I'm making it slightly political, you know, when Bernie Sanders first came in, which I think the theory doesn't work because he never won, but one of the things that I really liked about Bernie Sanders, because he was such an old fuck, he understood old people's problems. So he would be talking about stuff like people not being old people not being able to afford insulin shots. So they're rationing insulin shots.
That's
and
brutal.
saying like old people need to like die with dignity and they don't have the kind of money, all that. Do you think most old people, if they vote, they would vote liberal? I'm guessing. Is there a way for Labour Party to like get them on our side. It has two effects. One, better electoral consequences, and secondly, dude, I think they deserve it. They deserve some help.
Sure.
I don't know if you're going to be able to explain monetary policy to people that don't know how to use toothbrushes.
But you know, I did. That's true. But I did have a discussion with one lady who was. I tried to get her because I take my dog out for a walk every day at like this little park. It's called Kent. I probably shouldn't say, but like it's
Park.
it's funny for Cunt Park. It's funny because it started off as a natural reserve because some guy in World War II was supposed to go over like across the harbor to like shoot Japanese ships, but he just like fell right near the barrack.
Shit.
Oh, that's probably not a good thing. But like, so they made a national park in his honor.
Legend.
But
R.I.P.
anyways. But one of the things that happened is that they opened this new golf resort, and the golf resort, which is just borders this national park, and it encroaches into the national park. And so I take my dog out for a walk every day in the national park. So we just sort of like walk side by side to this like really nice golf course. And the guys are always just like, hey, can you hand me the ball? Yo, champion. What breed is that dog? Yeah, sick.
How is
so
your
they're
dog?
that guys. Yeah, my dog's great. But I met this one old lady, right? And it is a hard way. It's a hard walk because there's no pathway. It's much more difficult for older people. And this lady was saying she looks at me coming out of that fucking bush essentially with my dog, trying to wipe spider webs off of me. And she says, my God, I tell you, the Liberal Party said that the only way we're going to get this, the only way we allowed this golf course was if they made a proper pathway for us to walk. And they haven't done that. It's been years. And to which I was like, do you think next time around you might want to vote for the party that would do it? And she's like, I don't know if they'll fix it, but I'll think about it.
That's a win.
She'll think about it.
That's a
Yeah,
win.
but she's also got dementia. I don't think that you can convince old people.
Really?
Well,
my mum.
now that we're bringing up old expressions, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You've got years of experience, I think, with that.
Well, I was just going to say, like, God bless my mum and her partner, but they saw your show, and I was like, are you going to vote Labour now? And they're like, God, no.
Yeah.
Like, but it was like an
I
expose.
thoroughly enjoyed that. It was very true, everything he said in the last hour of unpacking all the economic myths that I was brainwashed with for 10 years. Are you going to change your vote at all? Well, look, I'm not a communist, all right?
I mean, like, you know, let's even look, benefit of the doubt. Let's say 50% of what Jordan said was accurate. Let's just say that. Or let's just say, you know, secretly Jordan's a pinko commie that overlooks the fact that Labor has
Come
the
closer
colour
to the
red.
mic, miss.
Sorry, that Labor has the colour red in their thingy. Because, you know, he's just living a dream world with the colour scheme. He's just you're a colour denialist. That's what you are. But like, even all that at hand, even putting all that out there.
Yeah.
Let's say
Go on, you're making sense.
Finally. Someone saying it like it is.
Let's say 50%
You're a color denier.
is accurate. That's still half of your values that should be challenged, that you should sort of look into or you know, be open to shifting on. So yes,
Yeah, Ali, did it ever occur to you that she might have just been being polite?
She was being polite by saying, I'll consider it. Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying? Probably. But
And
she
also
was...
thinking in her mind, what a freak.
I don't know, but she was genuinely
skin
pissed
brown?
off about how the government never put up a proper... Like, man, it's in shambles. Like, there's a tree after the floods. The tree fell on whatever shitty walkway there was. And every day I have to like fucking jump over it. I'm a relatively young person, so it's easier for me. How long ago were the floods?
You're not wrong.
No one gives a shit, man. On the other side, the golf course, right after the floods happened, they had this. I'm not even kidding. I took my dog out, like it was raining heavily. They had machines on this golf course that were just like, I had never seen such a thing. It was like a massive tractor with these brushes on the side that were clearing up all the water that had accumulated on the golf course. And meanwhile, like the fucking natural park, like there's trees all over the place. No one gives a shit till this day. How long has it been? No one's fucking fixed that tree.
Dude.
Yeah.
I've never heard an oral letter to local council.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a letter to council.
Yeah, it's such a
He's
such a community
passionate
problem.
about his community.
Yeah, you are passionate about.
No,
your
I'm not.
community.
I'm passionate about like not
be
having
proud
to
of
jump
it.
over
No,
the fucking.
be proud of it.
Yeah. And why is there not enough gym match at the YMCA?
Also, the Bunning
Big questions on
Snag.
the Friendly Jordies podcast.
The Bunning Snag place was supposed to be making sausages on Sunday, but one Sunday they weren't there.
Yeah.
Not that I care, because I hate bunny snacks.
I despise them, but I'm thinking about my community. No, look, it's.
Harley's, where's the beef?
No, you're actually completely right. But I
you know-
wonder whether it is the council's responsibility.
It's definitely the council's responsibility. But the other thing is, it's the problem with living in a non-marginal seat. If you live in a seat that's considered to be liberal safe, they don't give a fuck about you because they depend on these old people to be like, oh, no matter what, I'll vote liberals.
But the council is a
If it was a marginal seat, I can tell you they'd be cleaning that shit up.
Nah.
But because they take like Hughes for granted. Even like it's the Craig Kelly seat in the National Assembly and what's her fucking name, the Liberal MP for my state, Melanie Gibbons, I think her name is. The only time I fucking hear about her is during election season, sending us pamphlets. Like, I've never seen her campaign ever in my life.
She doesn't need to do that. She should save the money.
Yeah, that's what she's doing. They're saving
or at
the
least
money.
cut down the trees that are blocking the path to make those pamphlets. Just do something.
But
The only thing that they do, the only thing my electorate does is like rework the roundabouts or something. They'll close down a road and they'll make a roundabout basically look exactly like it was before.
fuck yeah.
And that's the only development that happens over there. Like,
But
it's
isn't
all
council
about
different?
road and shit that like people people that get pissed off about on their daily commute. But when it comes to like just preserving the natural stuff, the habitat, making a walkway, people's welfare, none of that. No one gives
But
a shit.
When did you start caring about local issues?
When I started taking my dog out for a walk and I have to fucking jump over that tree every day. And
That's
I swear,
a good
this
point.
is...
I still think it's coincidental with the fact that you're nearly 30.
Yeah, it is true.
True.
And I remember, I
Something
swear,
happens at that age.
I swear, like for like now, like it's been what 15 days or some shit. Whenever I do it, I always think the same thing. It's like fucking thought I left Pakistan because that sort of shit happened over there, and you'd be like, dude, fix the road. It's been 3 years.
But wait, aren't council bipartisan? Like council's just
No,
a
they
bunch
get
of
elected.
pricks.
Nah.
They got affiliations with everyone, man. Like, as in they've got affiliate, and that.
But they don't have the color blue or the color red. They don't have an actual.
Some local councils do, but others are independent.
Yeah, independent.
But they're not independent.
So is his independent?
I don't know if he's as independent.
Bullshit.
I'm
There's
not.
a new poll. Abolish local councils.
I agree with that.
Don't abolish.
Yeah, thank God.
They
Such
suck.
an awful idea.
No,
What
dude,
would you
just
miss?
fix them.
The
Set them
rubbish. That's it.
targets.
I hate
Like,
councils.
straight up.
Dude, you should know more than anyone that the councils are the most corrupt sect of the Australian public service.
That's true, but come on, man. Garbage disposal is pretty rad.
That's all you got.
Yeah, it's
though.
sick.
That's all you got.
Yeah, but it's also the biggest medical advancement in human history.
All right, yeah.
Let's not revert back to ancient Babylon.
How about someone else? How about this? How about the lollipop man does it? We just up their wage.
No,
I'll pay the
Just
lollipop
think the
man.
local council pays that guy.
Just hold the local councils
The racket.
accountable. Is that too tough? Give them targets.
Well, it
Make
is
su-
actually too tough.
Yes, it
you
is
know
too
what?
tough.
The one thing that
Your
I
problem
do
isn't
think-
unique. Every council, Lane Cove Council is one of the worst.
Again, a safe seat. I'm telling you, marginal seats don't have this issue.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, Lane
No,
Cove was
they do.
shit. Lane Cove Council was shit. Mismanagement, misspending, crap.
I think factually, Gosford Council is the worst.
No surprises there. Dude, that place looked like Ecuador when we went.
You did.
It looked like fucking Ecuador.
Mixed with that Aussie flair of one of those going out of business rug warehouse sales.
Yeah. Kebabs, 2 for 1.
Can I
So
suggest
none of the
something?
class of the country you just mentioned. That's gospel.
Can I suggest something? And I will not tell you where this plan comes from because you will automatically hate it then.
God damn it.
One of the ways that you can fix local councils is that you constantly do surveys with the people living
Wonder
over
where
there.
this comes from.
And basically,
CCR?
stop it, don't tell them. Because then they'll hate it. Just listen to the idea. And then, like, you get all of these compilation of all the survey results. So then you'll know, like, because most people don't lie about that stuff. They'll be like, okay, are your roads clean?
True.
Is your local park clean enough? What are the issues? And then you basically set local council targets depending on what results you get. So you say these responses, let's say the average response is 6 out of 10. If you don't get it to 8 out of 10 in the next 2 years, you're fired.
It's
You
not a
seem
bad
proud.
It's not a bad system. It ain't bad. I'm willing to extend an olive branch here because at the
And I
moment,
assume the CCR stands for...
Credence Clearwater Revival Country.
See, there is a lot of wisdom in country and folk music.
No, but really, we got to do something because, sure, like your version of a corrupt council is like, you know, a walkway not being built and like trees in your path, and the Lane Cove version is like, we're too flush with money. Just knock down the town hall and rebuild it. But they're both corruption. They're both forms of corruption. Sure, ours is more
Well,
like
mine is
local
like
council
literally
is rife with
apathy, man. Mine is like honest. My council is just like apathetic to that area because anyone that goes to that particular park is not someone that they're more concerned about the people that are playing golf inside.
yeah.
Right. And so that's the like those guys matter to them. They're the big money makers. They contribute to most tax. They are like. That's what a liberal party wants everyone to be. The people on the other side that are walking are like people from like that aged care facility, which for some reason votes for them, but they're according to like from the liberal point of view, they're leeches. They're not doing anything. They just suck on welfare. So who cares about
Now you've changed
that
my
you're
mind
like
again.
85 years old and you can't jump over a fucking 5-foot log?
Yeah.
Just go home.
Could we elect our councillors? Would that
You
work?
can, I think. I'm sure you
Yeah, I think that's how
can.
elections
That's
work.
how it works.
No, but we don't do that.
Yes, we do.
We do it like
Where
based
we're
on
learning
the...
here.
You don't do it, and that's illegal.
Another thing to add to the list. At this point, I'm a fucking
A lot of talking
fugitive.
about what our weed habits are on this and how we shirk basic civic duties. Even under pain of law.
Look, I'm not
we
going to lie.
still refuse to participate. That's how corrupt it is, man.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I did read in the comments that someone was like, what if we voted the councillors in? And like, this guy's talking sense. Someone did just say
What's
that.
his name? Milky Butt Butt?
All right, look.
I can't find it.
Well,
I can't find
look,
it.
I think we've
But
made...
you know what? Man, this Keating script that Ali and I have been cooking up.
Damn, you're doing it too?
Yeah.
Cool.
I wrote this.
Yeah, he's
Sick.
fact checking a bunch of stuff and
Script.
taking a side pretty much so I can have arguments with Christo instead of doing any work that lasts half a day.
Half a day. It was amazing. He's not exaggerating.
Did you film it yesterday?
I should have filmed that argument.
It was
Because that was...
there's something to behold. I was sitting here just delirious, and I thought I was watching Othello.
And you know what's insane? What other workplace on earth do you think that the workplace would be having a heated argument that almost resulted in fisticuffs
Yep.
over the privatisation of the Commonwealth Bank that happened 30 years ago?
So insane. The only cunt working was the delirious one on cold flu. Yeah. Just been like, you just keep it
and
down.
what was your job again? Looking through pedestrian articles and going, pretty shit. Yeah. So's that one. Hey, I just thought of something. Pedestrian is pretty bad all around.
That's right. That's shit. I've got a headache.
You're
I'm going
lucky
home.
he came to that conclusion. Could he just be like, hey, these guys aren't that bad. They cover bands sometimes.
Yeah.
Halsey. The greatest artist of all
Who
time.
the fuck's that?
I don't know. Who's Halsey? Paul. Do you know Halsey?
Do you know
It's not an
Housey? Is that our old
explanation.
music teacher from school? Mr. House? The guy's like,
The guy that was photographed at Bunnings the other day. Doing that Nicolas Cage and 8mm thing of don't film me.
What? Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
What?
But we really are getting off track here, which is that I have another opinion that I know is going to get clipped up.
Oh, for fuck's
And
sake.
everyone's going to attack me vigorously for
Wait,
it.
Hi,
let me-
Panthera. Put it on us.
Move the thing to us.
Panthera, Panthera.
And I can't believe that I learnt this from the Packy Commie.
Oh
But
shit!
privatising
Commie.
the Commonwealth Bank was mad. In fact, it was the maddest thing that Paul Keating did.
Okay, so I'm taking away that your conversation with Krista was you thought it was mad. Because didn't know how to, I couldn't tell you what you thought.
Oh, so it was like you reading Othello in year 12.
Yeah,
Just didn't
yeah.
understand what was going on. Sounded passionate.
But I genuinely believe that too. Like,
Do you?
So you know what?
yeah. Well, I don't know
You
if it's
what,
the best thing he ever did, but like it was. I think it was a very good thing.
But
before we
just
get
like
into it.
Shakespeare, you say it's the best thing he ever did for dramatic effect.
Dramatic.
But before we get into it, just so I get the crux of it, so he privatized it. Now you're gonna have to help me out. He privatized it for a reason. I'm getting something here. A reason. He basically
Holy shit,
He,
Mislav Balabragic, political medium.
he pro-
That is you! You are a psychic man that sits on a political podcast and have no right being there, and you sit around guessing what's going on.
I'm gonna guess that wasn't it essentially like he decided to give them money to prop them up to make it profitable again. Is that right?
no, it was
Not
somewhat
close.
profitable. It was profitable,
So he gave them taxpayer money.
but that's why you privatize it. I think.
Wait. Before we get into this, I just want to know from the audience, what do you think about that?
Yeah,
Thing
give
that
us.
happened, I'm guessing a decade before you were born.
Yeah, give us your views on.
Mislav is
do you
big head
think
from
the
Silicon
Commonwealth
Valley.
Bank should have been privatized or not? But if you just pitch it as that without giving them facts, then obviously they're going to say
So
yeah,
Keating privatized it.
yeah, in phases. But look, I can go on and on about like why I think it was the right move.
What was the argument? What was the crux of the argument?
Go on.
What was the crux of the argument?
Dude, I think the general sentiment of the audience is I have no opinions on stuff before 1991.
Fair. And they're right. But
Ooh,
honestly,
so close. It was 1988.
If-
No, wait, didn't it happen in 1991?
It happened, so he's wrong.
His plans were in 88, moved to 91, finish in 96.
Yeah, that's right.
so what was the argument about?
CBA was money bags. They took over the Bank of Melbourne, which was bankrupt. If Keating did it, it was a good idea. If Paul Keating did it, I'm all for it. Dude, I don't
Hell
think
yeah.
anyone gives a shit. They just don't know the facts. Like, on the
No, but
surface.
this is
What was
look,
the
let me just-
argument?
well, let me just paint you the picture because every boomer that knows what's up in the world, which is pretty much Ali at 18,
Yeah.
they are correct on a lot of things in that they really understand how the global sphere really works. But when it comes to the national level, it's always the same thing of, Hawke and Keating were just Thatcher and Reagan. No, they weren't. First of all, they were much more handsome. Reagan was pretty good.
Gotta know.
Then again, I'd plough Thatcher. I'd give her one. But
Oh.
Panthera. Actually,
Yeah, Panthera.
Is that Panthera?
Panthera.
Panthera? It's a Panthera? It's a Panthera. I like how Panthera is my condom to Thatcher.
Dude, it's so good. It's just like the like that the trigger word that we just blanket say. Like this is Seinfeld. It's Panthera. Yeah, Panthera.
Poll, would you do Thatcher?
Come on.
And if you're a chick, who's hotter, Keating or Hawke?
dead Thatcher, would you do
Reagan.
necrophiliac? Do you mean like have sex with her
fuck's
now?
sake.
Wasn't going that far.
Jesus Christ. You always have to take it to that next packy level, don't you?
Yeah, I know.
Just take it to,
Wait, why is that packy
I don't know.
level?
I don't know.
Hey.
I'm guessing that there's more cases of necrophilia in Pakistan.
well, there's more ghosts, so
You know what? Look up the stats. They're probably first of all, I know of like not personally, but I used to read them in the newspaper.
No.
Like the Undertaker was like, they arrested a guy who would get hanky panky with fresh corpse.
oh No, not fresh.
I just don't know how you do it.
Well, I don't know.
The body would be rotting.
No. God,
and you
boys.
would have to first of all dig it up too.
No. He was a mortician, wasn't he?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think he dug.
God,
he
they
dug
would
it
have
up.
to be fresh.
I think
and
he
none of
dug
that
it up.
hillbilly. I got a possum off the side of the road, just 3 days old.
Shit. Well, that's
And
a good term
anyone
for the
that's
worst.
fresh should always be smacked by a bus as well.
I don't want to.
You don't like that?
No, I don't like it.
Heart attack, all intact.
Panthera.
That was too far.
deserves a Panthera.
That
That
was
deserves a Panthera. Yeah, that's it. It's just like it's almost like a tip of the hat, isn't it? It's like Panthera, mate. Shit.
that, sir, was a good Panthera.
What are we talking about?
We're
again?
talking-
necrophilia. That's
No,
right.
you
No.
brought up Paul
something
Keating
very
and Comp.
similar. Banking in the 80s. Fuck, this is a fucked pod.
I don't think this is as much of a hot button issue.
Sorry.
I don't think this is nearly as much of a hot button issue as you think it is.
No, it's a hot button issue with people that are 70.
It's a hot button issue in this office, I'll tell you that much.
I know. Amazing.
I can
It was
tell
the
you that
hottest
much.
button issue.
It was the hottest I've ever
I don't
seen
think I've
this
ever been in a
place.
more heated argument with Connor and Krista.
No.
I loved every second of it. I think all of us enjoyed it. It really did remind me of when Keating, people used to say about Keating, look, everybody thinks he was passionate about the economy. Keating was just passionate about arguing. If there's 2 flies on the wall, he would argue just as vehemently about which fly was going to fly off that wall as he would about floating the dollar.
Damn.
Right.
But
Likes to fight.
likes the fight. And, but anyway.
Wait, Christo?
Huh?
Paul
Fuck,
Keating.
sorry. Go on.
Well,
Because
they do
both-
have that in common.
They do, yeah. I wouldn't say you guys enjoyed it that much. I think it was getting to a point where I was like, ugh.
No, but I like being in those wog moments of like, you fucker my mum, I fucker your mum.
He was prepared to
I
leave.
can't believe that this was what is. I didn't know that it was that heated. It's
There was
such a
threats of
non-issue.
leaving.
It's just hilarious
There was threats
because-
of leaving.
What?
Not the business, just the office.
Because they commonly.
Christo maintains that he was correct on the issue. And I don't want to say what his position was, but I truly think that we were really arguing what came first, the chicken or the egg. And I took the egg position and he took the chicken position. It was such a stupid way to waste half a day. But having said that,
But why-
I
why-
really feel like it was just, that's another day in the office here.
But I'm curious what his fucking
Me
what his
too.
opinion
All right,
was.
I'm going to try and be as objective as possible, knowing that he's not here. This is going to be so hard because I'm so worked up about it now. All right, so we were going through the script, and remember the point that you were saying that the Commonwealth Bank was acting like a private institution, so why are we paying their wages?
Yeah.
Now, his point was it was turning over a profit, so who cares that we were paying their wages? It was turning over a profit. My point was, yeah, but we're still paying their wages. His point was, oh my God, you're such a spastic. I'm filming this. I'm going to leave. Oh my God, I can't believe this. You're insane. You're insane. Say it again. Say it again. Operational costs are a thing. What the fuck? What the fuck? It's a profitable company. What the fuck are you talking about? But I think that if I go back and look at it, he was right in that is not enough of an argument to privatize it, that you are paying their wages. It was profitable, but it was a sidetrack point that we were focused. That's why I'm saying it was just such a stupid thing to focus on, because it was just that, back and forth for 3 hours, getting more and more manic. And I think that both of us were right.
Can I just-
And we were arguing over who's more right.
Can I just say something about that in particular? A government's metric for privatizing something is if it's profitable. If it is profitable, that's when you privatize something. Because look, as much as this is going to sound like a shock, but we aren't the CCP. Our job is like a government's job in Australia isn't to run businesses. It's supposed to run certain businesses that are going down. So like at the same time, Keating didn't privatize Telstra at that point because Telstra was not super profitable and wouldn't have been able to survive. Something like Australia Post. Here's another good thing. Something like Australia Post today, which is still majority government owned. But do you know why the government still owns it?
Runs at a loss.
Those little stamps.
Because look, if you look at Australia, right?
Fair. And those shit chocolates at the front that are only sold at Australia Post that have pictures of bilbies on them.
Yeah,
love
but
those.
it's a monopoly for a reason. Because
Bilbies.
the population of Australia is only 25 million people. It's a huge continent, and a lot of these people live in areas that is not currently economically feasible to deliver to. Right? It's if you get a private company and be like, okay, now you get all of Australia and you need to deliver things to Northern Territory, all of that stuff, they wouldn't be able to do it because it would not make economical sense. The only economical sense for shipping right now in Australia is within the metro areas. And so what the government essentially does, it subsidizes people that live in tier 3s, people that live in regional areas. Jordan, we do it too. We subsidize them people. Because look, if you look at our merch sales, right? The shirts that we sell, we charge a single amount for shipping. That shipping applies to someone that lives in Northern Territory. It also applies to someone that lives in Newtown, which is right next door.
And as always, the farmers are getting a free ride.
Yeah, but what we do it. We get the people.
Prick.
We get people from living in urban centers to pay slightly more than what they're supposed to pay, so that we can subsidize people that live in fucking Taree and shit. So we do it on a micro level as well.
I'll just add, I'm not happy about that.
But I'm very happy about that.
Shout out Taree.
So Australia Post, for that reason, remains government, because if you privatize it, it's going to be a net loss for the public. But when you've got corporations that can survive on their own, then that is an incentive to privatize them and not. And
that is true, but I will add this as well. If the service is necessary, then you shouldn't privatize it, even if it's profitable, which would be something like the electric grid, electric utilities, water. These things would be profitable if you privatize them. Everybody needs water, but you don't want to do that.
That's true too.
But Qantas is not necessary.
Yeah, Qantas, or even for that Commonwealth Bank, because you've got a government bank. It's called the RBA. No one is privatizing the RBA. Commonwealth Bank was this is the context. We'll keep it for the script, but the context was that in 1991, Keating started privatizing Commonwealth Bank because, first of all, Australia was in a deep recession. It was what he called a recession we needed to have. You had unemployment that was nearing 10 to 11%, and at the same time, you had a ballooning debt. Australia was facing stagnation, which is at the same time your inflation was going high and your unemployment was going high. Then you had a lot of these public assets that they looked at. The metric that the Labour Party under Keating used of why if something should be privatized or not is that they asked one simple question: if we back away from this, would it be able to survive? If it was able to survive, privatize it. If it wasn't able to survive, then you can't privatize it, which is why Telstra wasn't privatized at that point, but Commonwealth Bank was. Commonwealth Bank, on the other hand, there were a few things that were happening. One was that there were new regulations in the banking industry, which meant that in order to commercially give these loans, you needed to have a larger equity pool. And because Commonwealth Bank was government owned, their equity pool would have come from the government.
Equity pool means money.
Money. And so Keating was saying that this is going to be something that we would have to allocate in the budget. And because we would have been the majority shareholders, like the Australian public, then we would have had to give in that funds. On the other hand, the flip was that if you sell a profitable institution like the Commonwealth Bank, guess what? You get more money. Selling things that are going at a loss, you get less money. So you would want to first make it profitable to sell it. And then he used that money during a recession to affect things like reducing unemployment rate. One of the other things that he used the money for was setting up on practical training for apprentices and shit, so that their skills are more relevant for their workplaces, so making them more employable. And reducing the fucking debt that was going insane during stagflation. I don't understand when would be a better time to do it.
Yeah. The only downside, I suppose, is I do agree with the boomers in that he sold it for way too little, but it was an emergency. And I think that the other point is, when people are always saying, it was profitable, why would you sell something that's profitable? Well, I'll tell you why. Because as soon as the Commonwealth Bank didn't have this attitude of, we're not drowning, so we're doing a good job, And they had this lazy bureaucratic thing of just like only ensuring, backing loans that were absolutely guaranteed to turn a profit to them. As soon as they were privatized, they had to kill what they eat. So they started approving way more loans. And as a result of approving way more loans, businesses doubled as a result of Hawke and Keating. On population trajectory, we were expected to have about 1 million businesses by now. But we have 2 million small businesses alone. That is because they upped how much domestic investment was here by tenfold, meaning there was so much more money getting thrown into the economy that then moved on to businesses flourishing, that at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you could have a profitable bank or you could have 1 million extra profitable businesses paying tax.
Yeah.
So it was just insane to me. Like, when I understood that point, I really don't get the point of all the boomers because they just stop at it was profitable. That's their end game.
But so wait, what's the end game? So the end game is anything that's profitable, the government does not sell it. So the government essentially becomes a major capitalist. Is that the point? So like basically the government should be Rupert Murdoch.
Especially because they sold it off to start up a bunch of programs that aren't profitable.
Because
they were
that's what a government's supposed to do.
It helped the country in two ways. It helped the country build a bunch of businesses that could build a bigger tax revenue pool that they could then collect, which is essentially what happened because they doubled the GDP. But the other way that it helps the country out is that by selling it, they set up all those educational programs and increase the skill and education level of the country.
Yeah.
And then the Liberals privatised a lot of those.
And like I said, I can't...
But they shouldn't have privatised those.
Yeah, and like I said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're not the fucking CCP. We are not going to... We're not like... The government is not a massive business person because that really fucks shit up. If the government is handling so many of these companies, their interests get diverted. A government job isn't to make business money. A government job is public service. And so once you like, if you expect your government to be like also making most of the money in your economy, then you're living in fucking North Korea. You're not living in a free society because then these people will have their own vested interest. And so they're not going to be able to govern you effectively. Anyways, that's
But also there's
separation
another sick
of
thing.
powers.
I've got a book by Jack Lang called The Great Bashed. And it has that classic picture on the front of him doing his little auction pose, being like, yeah. And it's about the Depression, and he's pretty much arguing the entire book that this is all the Commonwealth Bank's fault. I swear to God, he's definitely got an axe to grind because they did kick him out of office. But this is the other reason that you privatise it, because before Keating opened up banking in this country, the Big Four used to sit around as this old boy cabal and actively campaign against Labor governments. Now, because they have so much competition from your ING Directs and your Bank New Zealand, I suspect, right? They actually have to act more professionally. They don't have time to sit around and think, yeah, how do we out Andrews?
Yeah,
they have to think about, fuck, we need to hit the next quarter. I think that what he envisioned, which was a lot better than the current circumstances, which it's always the same thing because people always say the same thing about the Commonwealth Bank that they say about the ABC, which is just put in better people. Yeah, it's not like the Liberals can do that, can they? Especially when they're in government 70% of the time. They can't put their own guys in there. What the Labor Party does, and this is Keating's entire political philosophy, is how do I make sure that the Liberals can do the least amount of damage when they're back in power? And one way of doing that was to privatise the Commonwealth Bank because it just allowed there to be so much more capital circulating around and couldn't have this protection monopoly racket that was occurring. Then the Liberals came in and started loosening all the regulation that he put on this new private, large, global banking enterprise on this country. So that started to screw things up a bit. But still, the reason that we avoided the GFC is because of Keating's reforms like the 4-pillar thing. So it's not like the guy did it willy-nilly because he believed in neoliberalism or whatever the fuck it is. Like, the guy was a lot more complicated than that. He didn't have ideologies. He was a truly practical man that was constantly thinking about what works best.
That's true. And that was just a teaser. If you want more details on Paul Keating, There's going to be a video coming out soon.
That's true.
Revisit
Also,
it.
are you interested in that? Because that is all it's going to be. And if I get enough likes, I will also be doing a historical case for why the Commonwealth Bank should have been privatised in the 20s. I really do want to read the great
I'm
bus.
in the wrong business. I should be working at Bananas in Pajamas, dude. What am I doing here?
Can you work at Bananas in Pajamas?
I think I can handle it.
I suppose it's government run.
Why couldn't I?
Because you were born for that. Have we told this story on the podcast? Probably.
What?
You know how your dad was describing communism? How he was saying, it was so bad.
Yeah.
I had to get up at 4 a.m.
Don't
comes
say your
to work
bullshit
at
of like
7
giving me-
a.m.s.
Yeah.
And then everybody slept.
Yeah.
Why didn't we start 9 to 5s? I
I
had to go home at 3 p.m. and do art for 8 hours. It was horrible. But the best story of that is his dad was there one day and he was just talking about how lazy it was. So they'd forced them to do a bunch of projects they didn't want to do, which I did like about communism. So instead of them going, but I want to make a building with a stripe down the middle of it. No, you have to build a sewer. This is a dystopia. So they forced him to do a sewer. One of his workers screwed up the sewer so much that it was unusable. It was $1 billion investment. Unusable. And he walks up to him. They're on the same level as employees. They go, hey, what the fuck you do? You fuck my mother. I kill you. You motherfucker. And his boss, the guy was asleep, by the way. He shakes him out. He was asleep at work. He shakes him out. Be like, what the fuck you do? And his boss, who's next to him, is also asleep. And then he just goes, hey, Tony, the man is trying to sleep. He's up.
That's one
What
of
a
the greatest
workplace.
stories.
And you're always saying that you hate communism. You would have thrived in that environment.
I don't buy you and Christo's
That's you now.
autistic fucking perspectives on that. That's bullshit. I like the American flag waving in the wind. That looks cool to
I
me.
don't.
That speaks to the poetic side of you, but the practical side of how you operate is having a siesta at 9 a.m. in the
But
morning.
that's not communism. That's just, you know what that is? That's how the Spaniards live. That's just Spanish culture, right? Maybe I should just
Even they're a
move to
little more
Spain.
practical than that. Don't they have it at 2?
Yeah, they do.
God damn. Spain in Croatia, eh? Now that's a lazy country.
Well, could I just be like a musician and lounge around in a communist country?
I think
know
you
if you
can.
can.
I think everyone has to become a musician because
right. So
when
you
you've got
can't.
like nothing to do and you've got some money coming in, I guess explore the arts. You know.
Maybe you can, but you would have to be in a white suit wearing a fez with one of those onion-shaped guitars. And you'd be on TV. And let's be honest, that's a better look for you anyway.
White loafers.
White loafers, of course. And every song is about how sick spring is.
Soviets loved music.
They like music that goes yigga-ding, right?
Yeah, so learn how to
Yeah.
do that music.
And you like that music as well.
Yeah, I don't mind.
All right, okay. We've got two more segments.
thinking,
We're
man. You got me thinking.
we're strapped for time, but okay, let's go for a light one. Miss, this is how fucked the investment market is. Talk about banks. A U.S. local deli, which is
Now
in
you're
New
talking.
Jersey,
Yeah.
which is making $35,000 in sales a year,
Yeah.
is currently valued at $100 million on the stock market.
How? Just they must have the best pastrami in Jersey. Is that
They
it?
don't even. Apparently, the guy who has an asset that's worth $100 million in the stock market
Just
is
dumped
the
it on.
CEO, CFO / everything and is also like a wrestling coach at the neighboring school.
What is it like his GameStop?
It's a bit like his GameStop. The other thing is like the location of the deli is valuable, but not $100 million valuable.
So the game just continues under Biden, eh? I thought Wall Street was
Well,
going to
yes.
bloody get regulated. They'd all pull their socks up.
Wasn't he put in by Wall Street?
Shit.
too woke.
God damn it.
Yeah, but anyway, that was just a fun fact.
Fuck.
That's just how shit the U.S. stock market
Did they like
is.
Trump or did they like Biden? I'm not sure.
They like
Wall
Trump.
Street, they
liked both.
initially wanted Hillary in, but when Trump
Oh,
came, he was like,
really?
I'm not hating on that.
Mm.
And then when Biden was coming in, they were like, yeah, I guess he's all right too. Because like no one was really anti them if you look at it.
Right.
So either way, they would have been
dude,
fine.
You know what, Ali? You might be interested in this. This Perenni book that I'm reading, which is the greatest. It's like that book was written specifically for me. It's about ancient Rome, and it's nothing but red pills. But there was something called tribunes back then. Pretty much, if you imagine, this isn't exactly accurate because it's not the same system, but they kind of had two presidents, and then they had two presidents that represented poor people. So they were kind of just school captains, I suppose. They didn't really have any power. But what happened in that system was that there was that elite oligarchic class, I suppose the Wall Street of the day, which would have been landowners. And they used to pretty much patron who were going to be the tribunes. Now, isn't this interesting? Every now and then, one of the tribunes who was supposed to represent the plebs would be a Bernie Sanders figure and actually be talking about issues that the plebs liked, and they got in and usually they were assassinated. But most of the time, the tribunes that were running for office, it sounded exactly like the Democratic primaries. It was just a line of dudes sitting around saying, I have leadership skills, and I have attained this office in the past. I know what it takes to be in charge. It was nothing about policy. It was all about their character. And I never noticed that before, but then I started thinking back to it, and I was like, damn, Bernie Sanders was one of the Gracchi brothers. He was actually sitting there just being like, the tomato tax is too low. We need to start putting up taxes on foreign fruits such as potatoes and possibly yams.
Foreign fruits coming from Idaho.
Potato capital.
Yeah, potato capital.
That's
but-
fucking
but-
funny, dude.
Do you, so are you saying that was fucked, or did you like that?
It's just, I'm going to be
Observation?
doing a stand-up show on it. It's just going to be called A Game as Old as Rome, and it's pretty much just going to be about how much of a farce democracy is. And it's the same ideals, just getting repeated over and over. What do the ruling elite constantly care about? Freedom, liberty, other flowery concepts that make you think about how sick statues and flags are.
Yes.
But there was no
Eagles.
substance. In fact, Julius Caesar, isn't this incredible? Everyone was saying he's such a great orator, and he was. He had flair, but there was a new style of oratory that started around the time that he entered public life. You know what that oratory was? Stating facts. It was just him saying, okay, the Treasury allotted 2 million denarii for infrastructure last year, and only 100,000 denarii was spent on infrastructure. Where did the other 1.9 million denarii go? And all throughout Rome's history, they had such a clench hold on power that everyone was just speaking about, again, poetic, bullshitty concepts of like, is tyranny bad? What about liberty? And that's the thing that drives me crazy about politics today. It's the same thing. It's just these annoying little terms that they constantly debate over. That's political discussion.
The spectrum is very limited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
denari
so it's just amazing
about
that it's just this constant...
that.
What?
I said I denari about that, but I am excited for the show.
Don't know what you're trying to replace with denarii? It's a
Don't.
bit too
He
vague.
does not
Yeah,
know.
this guy, all right,
Don't.
he understands Cicero debate.
Go on.
That's cool though.
But you know what else was really sad? Sorry, just as a little teaser. I think I'm even going to finish the stand-up show on this. It's just so moving. But there was 100 years before the some tribune every now and then coming up and saying we really need to reform land or something like that, and getting huge popular support. And then usually what would happen is the senators that ran the show would get some of their trained gladiators to come to their house and kill them. That's usually what happened.
Damn.
So there was the Gracchi brothers. They were some of the first reformers, and they met that fate. And so did Julius Caesar, but that was obviously in the Senate. And think about this picture, Ali. You know that classic ancient artwork of Julius Caesar getting stabbed?
Yeah.
When you think about that painting, what do you think about it?
why are all the penises so small?
There's no penises there, dude.
Sorry.
You're looking through the robe.
No, I'm just.
You're obsessed.
I'm just thinking a leader, a worthy leader being killed by horrible, evil men is what I think.
Do you?
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
Because both Miss and I, we were just thinking about that painting and we were just being like, finally, a tyrant is brought to justice.
Yeah, a tyrant being
that's-
killed. Look at his
But that's
smug
what I used to
face.
always think before I read this book.
Me too.
That's
all
but
we're
yeah,
taught.
obviously, look, Ali is a lot more woke on these.
Oh, but I
matters.
don't even
You
know
knew
much.
that.
Like, you know about this era way more than I do. This is just like
This is the thing. I know about that era, but I know about it from the ruling class's perspective because that's all that's written down. It's always just friends of the senators that were the historians. And so everything that you read about Caesar is he was evil, he was a tyrant. What was he trying to do? He was trying to make sure that apartments didn't collapse in on themselves and that they were subsidised for collapsing in on themselves. So there was actually an incentive to make sure the buildings collapsed. You know, it wasn't insane things that he was proposing.
What a tyrant. True.
I know.
But you know what I did? You mentioned on one of the
Mental.
previous pods about you thinking of doing a stand-up on this topic. And I can tell you there was a lot of overwhelmingly positive opinions on that. People were excited, including my girlfriend was like, I really, really want to go to that show because she was listening.
So do I. I want to see
do
my
I.
own show.
So do I.
Sorry to sound a bit narcissistic, but to quote Kanye West, my only regret in life is that I can't watch me performing that show. I really want to see it. And it's not even the next one coming out. Sorry, guys. 2023, stay posted.
Isn't that amazing? He's 3 shows ahead.
That's,
You're
yeah. it is
making us
pretty
look
cool.
bad, dude.
Well, I don't think
Hey,
it takes
shit.
much.
Huh?
But yeah, look, I just want to just get this because it's just so moving. But when Julius Caesar was stabbed, just to show you, even this is the other thing, they're so in their own bubble that they don't understand that what they're writing shows that they're cunts. So they were saying that after they died, the triumphant senators walked out and did their big speech about why they had to kill the tyrant. And isn't this insane that even back then you could kill a senator and no one could touch you because
That's
they'd be
crazy.
saying it to a crowd and there'd just be 3,000 gladiators standing around menacingly with swords.
Really?
So they'd say that to him. The next day, one of his generals came up and did a fiery speech and got all of the plebs to go fucking ape shit. They went in. They took... How symbolic is this? They were really moving people back then. They went out. They ripped all of the chairs out of the Senate, the doors. They went to the courts because the courts were just rife with corruption. And they took all of the wooden podiums from that. They made a huge bonfire and they burnt Caesar's corpse there. That was named Holy Land. Caesar, when he died, gave every head of a family 75 denarii and made his estates public parks for everyone. So even in death, he was looking out for them. And isn't this so sad? In the fire, all these women were throwing in their bracelets. They were poor. They were unbelievably poor people. Throwing in their bracelets, and their soldiers were taking off all their medallions and throwing it into the fire. And the same thing happened when the Gracchi brothers died. Their land was named as sacred. The peasants, who had no money at all, got all of the little fucking scraps that they had together as a city to build a couple of statues of the brothers. And every year, right up until the fall of the empire, the plebs would go and give them the first fruits of the season and put that at the statue.
Honourable
Isn't that
people.
moving? And then when it came to all of the big figures that you hear about in the late stage republic that were the heroes, your Catos, your Pompeys, your Ciceros, they had to build their own statues with their own will estates. No one ever gave them any fruits. They were constantly vandalized. And then they would always just write that down in history of just being like, they don't have respect for great men. But they did have respect for great men. They had respect for Caesar and the Gracchi brothers.
Fuck.
It's crazy. Do you remember when we went to, this sort of reminds me of that, when we were in Pakistan, we went to that mosque in Islamabad, that weird spaceship looking one. And then right next to that mosque was a mausoleum of a dictator General Zia-ul-Haq, who was like
Who's the scariest man I've ever seen in my life.
And you know what the funny thing is, like he was such a feared, just the ultimate kind of power that you can think of. He was usually in Pakistan. We've always had benevolent dictators. Even our dictators were like, "Don't be mean, okay, fine." Like they weren't like insane dictators. They were really dependent on public opinion, but not this guy. He was the only one who was like a bit of a hard cunt. He even
clearly everyone should look at a picture of that man.
General Zia-ul-Haq. He even assassinated like one of the most. He hung like one of the most popular leaders. Anyways, he was a different breed and he was a bit insane. But the funny thing was, like, you go to that mosque and right next to his mosque, right next to the big mosque, where like thousands of people come, right, to not just pray but to visit, because it's like a cool looking mosque. From up close, not that cool, just saying. But anyways, from a distance it is. But so there's the mausoleum. No one visits that mausoleum ever. And like in the same city, you've got like the Sufi shrine, who no one gave a fuck about when the guy was alive, but you get like thousands and thousands of visitors coming to him every day. It just sort of shows you that no matter how powerful you are when you're living, what you'll be remembered by is not in your control. And I guess the only way you can control is just be a nice person.
That's it. It's actions.
People will give a lot more shit. These guys, like that guy, he probably thought he was God when he was alive. And like no one gives a fuck about him. Like I was telling Jordan that even if I go and piss on that grave of his, I don't think anyone would give a shit.
Is there soldiers guarding it?
No one. You remember, it looked like, you were like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, yeah, that's one of the most powerful men that this country has ever seen. That's his grave. No one is even going there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit like that.
I don't know, for some reason that just really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? After you're dead, what happens to you? It actually just really gives
all the money.
I don't know. I don't know why that was so. I don't know why that concept's so powerful.
It is.
But anyway, that's all I've got to say on it. It's just like when I read that, there was actually tears in my eyes.
Dang.
It just showed.
Well, it is pretty cool. It is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Like
it's
fruit,
cool.
You know, giving.
But
it
the
that.
First fruits of the season.
That's rad.
How respectful is that?
It's rad. And
actually, let's be honest. The first fruits of the season are the worst ones.
Are they?
Like,
look, it's symbolic again. That seems to be the message of today's pod. Symbolism matters.
The fruit gets better towards the end of the season.
I'm just thinking, like, you know, if Caesar was never killed, would the Roman Empire still have fallen? Is that too big a stretch?
Would he be in power today?
Damn.
Super Caesar. I mean, wrong guy. Whatever his name
Caesar
is.
salad.
Super Caesar salad. That'd be the only difference today.
Oh, yeah. There's
you
no
can get
such,
that at sumo salad.
there's no such thing as a Caesar salad.
No, there's just a bigger one.
Right, I gotcha.
You had to get the big salad. Yeah, but... yeah, look.
But do you,
what
is that
saying,
a bit of a stretch, is it?
Well, it was interesting because they always try and blame Caesar for the fall of the Republic, but he was always saying, I don't care if I'm killed, which is why he walked into the Senate despite numerous assassination rumors. But there was always assassination rumors about him. But he was always of the opinion that if I die, it's not so much my life that I care about because I've just done so many great things, so who cares? It's that if I do, it will eventually cause a civil war. It might not be my death that causes the trigger, but you can't squeeze the population that much for that long. He was trying, really, this is something else that you learn from this historical piece as well. He was trying to he was trying to save the oligarchy from themselves. Really what he was saying is, it's the same message that the Labor Party's always putting through. Look, you can still be in charge, you just don't have to be such an idiot about it. You don't understand this. You've just been living in a plush, aristocratic, let's be honest, kind of fancy luxury dole bludger life for 10 generations. You're just so stupid from being overfed and sitting around eating like pigs that when you open them up, pigeons fly out. You don't actually think about things properly. Right? And it was just pretty much like, look, you can make more money and not screw over the population as much. Like, this is a good idea for everyone. Let's divert the River Tiber because it floods the city every year. But they just, even to those kind of things, they'd be like, no, absolutely not. We can't afford it from Treasury because I wanted to siphon out 1 billion sesterces this year. So they wouldn't do that kind of stuff. It was, what you learn is that there are actually very few men in history that are power hungry. Caesar is one of those people that was power hungry, but why was he power hungry? Because he wanted the power to do things. But most people, when they want power, they just want power because it secures their extra comfy pillow.
There's different kinds of power. There's different what you use it for and what you direct that energy into.
Yes, and the oligarchy of every society wants the power so that they can just maintain their plush lifestyle. That's all they care about. It's just, is my lawn nice?
My vote's for Caesar now.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Same.
And he is a very comparable man to Bill Clinton.
Both played sax.
Because Bill Clinton
one played the
basically
lute.
Bill Clinton already said what you just came across. Like, you can fool some people some of the time.
That wasn't Bill Clinton.
Wasn't it Bill
That was
Clinton?
Lincoln, dude.
Oh, shit. Well, I guess
The second greatest president of our time.
Bill Clinton, Julius Caesar, maybe Abraham Lincoln. We're not going to put him on the same category.
And Hillary Clinton, the best president we never had.
All right, okay. Look, we're almost out of time. We've got 5 minutes, but like the last thing that I wanted to talk about was on the 11th of September, 2021, all coalition forces are moving away from Afghanistan, closing that chapter.
I told everyone that Biden was going to be the best president of our lifetime.
About time.
He's getting a lot of criticism for it,
About time.
Why?
particularly from what I call the ASPI argument, which is actually an
Think
argument
tanks.
that ASPI gives, is that they're saying that Biden is foolish for doing this, because what's going to happen is that once Biden leaves, basically China is going to like take control of the region, which is, in my view, not correct.
I don't think so either.
But basically, that's their argument.
busy
They're
with
saying
Africa.
that if Biden leaves, basically what they want is, and this article was republished on the Australian as well, taken from ASPI. But what they essentially want is for US to permanently be in Afghanistan. Just have a post there forever. So and what you get from it is basically less influence of Russia, China in Afghanistan.
Let's be honest. Wasn't that the point of them entering in the first place?
I don't think I don't think that was the case, because they went in there, and it is true. Look, when they went in there, Afghanistan basically had become a hotbed for terrorist organizations that were hell-bent on fucking with the US as much as possible. Now, Afghanistan, what basically Afghanistan, or the Taliban, who were in talks with the US government, has assured that we're not going to do that. And the only thing that we ask from you right now is that you fuck off from our country. I promise
Trump
you that I
ran
won't
on.
do that.
Trump ran on that.
But the problem is, they're not promising that that they will work with the current Afghan government, and there are fears that that the Taliban are going to take over all of Afghanistan again, and then women's rights and all of that stuff, like, because they are from an orthodox religious ideology. That is not.
But wait,
Don't you think that...
Wait! Before you say anything,
Go on.
Let's change the camera
yes,
angle.
yes.
Like, you're assuming he's going to say something egregious.
Oh, I know I am.
Oh, okay.
Get ready for it.
My
No.
bad. How do
Ready
you know?
to get
How do you-
cancelled again?
You just know every time.
No. I'm not ready to get canceled.
He knows. Should I say it?
No, don't say it.
Paul, do you want me to say what I'm about to say?
I'll say it. I'll say it in a different way. I'll say it.
Yeah,
I
that's
know
a good
what
way.
you're
That's
saying.
a
Where's my bottle
And
of
I'll
Coke to
resonate.
give you? Just go.
So for all those that think that Taliban is an evil organization, and Afghanistan, like the people of Afghanistan are very against them.
I know it,
That
yeah.
is not necessarily true. Taliban represent a particular faction within Afghanistan, which, by the way, are the majority, are the Pashtuns, the Eastern Pashtuns, who have a very orthodox view of stuff, but are also adversaries to all the other collective ethnicities in Afghanistan, that are represented in the current Afghan government and supported by the US. So when they say that the people of Afghanistan are against the Taliban, what they're saying is that our faction is against the Taliban. There is a large support base for them, which is why after decades of bombing them, trying to defeat them, they're still there. Because they have a bunch of people that like them. And according to some estimates, the majority of the country likes them.
So what I was going to say is that Osama bin Laden is the Julius Caesar of our time.
Oh, for fuck's sake. You're such a dick. You're such a dick.
Should we end on that? Or?
I mean,
No.
might
We're
as
going to
well.
keep going?
No. But you know what?
I've got more.
Osama bin Laden was actually just a poster boy. Like, he wasn't even that powerful within Al-Qaeda. So he was not the Julius Caesar. Do you know who was the Julius Caesar of Al-Qaeda? A guy called Al-Zawahiri. That guy
I do know that guy.
was the kingpin. He developed Al-Qaeda. He basically used Osama bin Laden as a poster boy because Osama bin Laden was
handsome.
No, he was like the story worked really well for them because he was this rich prince of Saudi Arabia who had abandoned all his wealth and was spending it for the cause. So he was just the perfect guy to be at the front of the organization because it motivated others within the organization to be like, hey, look at this guy. He had everything and he's giving it up. Maybe I should blow myself up and that will help the cause. So he was not the Julius Caesar, but
He kind of was. Julius Caesar was from the aristocracy, and I suppose he didn't give away all of his wealth. He did when he died.
yeah, well, okay.
No, what he is one
We're
of the
not
Gracchi
equating
brothers
him
who
to
did do
fucking
that.
Caesar.
He did give away all of his wealth and live with the plebs.
We're not equating
But he
Caesar
didn't
to
live with the plebs. He
fucking-
lived in a cave.
Well, he lived everywhere. Okay, I'll
You
come back
always have
to
to chuck something
Afghanistan
egregious in
real
there.
quick. So this is how I'm going to defend Joe Biden because he's getting a lot of hate from all circles, and that's just one argument. There are other arguments that are also against Joe Biden.
Trump's is particularly poignant and intelligent, which is September 11, very sad day, very disrespectful.
Very.
But Trump
was
going
the
on
one. Trump, actually, to Trump's credit, Trump was the one who wanted to unilaterally withdraw from Afghanistan.
But not on September 11.
But
September
not-
12, maybe.
That was a
2030.
bad choice right there. It's because he's losing his marbles.
I have a few
Very
pointers for people that have the against this move view. First of all, the Taliban of early 2000s and late 90s is not the Taliban of today for a few reasons. Firstly, the Taliban in like the late 90s became so rampant and spread so quickly and took over the entire country because first of all the country was coming to terms with the Soviet withdrawal and was just in a chaos and a civil war. So everyone was fighting everyone else, and Taliban were the first organization that brought some sort of peace. Even though that peace meant that, you know, women weren't allowed to leave the house, all of that stuff is bad, but they brought some level of peace. And what that did was that they started from a city in Afghanistan called Kandahar. And so all of these other cities like Kabul and wherever you were that had some level of Pashtun population, they were like, look, if they can do it in Kandahar, we can do it over here. So the organization developed really quickly, but it was super decentralized because people were just taking the Taliban name because that was the movement of the season.
Yeah.
Right? So when they did fucked up shit, like, for example, blowing up the Buddhist monuments, which became such big news, the Taliban couldn't control them that effectively.
Yeah. So you're saying it was the get up of Afghanistan.
I'm saying it was a get up of Afghanistan. Today, the Taliban is not that decentralized. The Taliban, over the years, have become super centralized. So what I'm saying is that they're better able to respect their word today than they were back in the day.
Yeah.
The other aspect of it is that I don't think that China, Russia are gonna go back into Afghanistan or like are gonna like become the new US of Afghanistan and take over the country. Everyone recognizes that Afghanistan is a fucked place that you don't want to mess with a lot.
It is
So-
the Mordor of the world.
Yes, so I do not think, I think it's a miscalculation on some of these Western thinkers that China is just going to go over there and take over the country. I think every player in the region genuinely, they want to protect their interest, but genuinely wants Afghanistan to be stable. I don't think there is one country around them that wants, at this point, wants Afghanistan to be unstable. Aside from maybe like Iran currently when the US was there. But once the US leaves, the regional powers will have an incentive to keep it somewhat stable. No one wants a civil war over there again, because what civil war means is that you get spillover effect on all these regional countries.
Do you think it's also that everyone understands that it's not in their geopolitical interests anymore to control
That's
resources?
what US thinks. US is like just thinking, I don't know if we want to do this. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Is essentially their argument.
Just build more
now.
naval bases around China, Christ.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're like, so they're just thinking that why
leaning on the flag as well.
That's right.
All right, we're going to give you the final word. Sick Miss Love is sick.
And lastly, I think the most important point is for us to realize that we need to let them figure it out on their own.
Duke it out.
If
That's always been your opinion of the Middle East. Let them duke it out.
Because that's how you come up with a long-lasting solution. Like if you constantly, so I got a cat, and I got a dog, and I had a cat. When the first time they saw each other, they started wrestling and fighting. So what we did was we were like, just keep them away. We don't want this. And at some point I was like, just let them duke it out, and then one of them will figure out who's stronger and who's not, and then there'll be an equilibrium. And that's exactly what happened.
So everybody that's always saying that Jordan Peterson doesn't have very woke takes on politics, he's got the wokest take of all. He agrees with Paki commies. Let children play. That's really what he's saying there. That is his point.
But I
can't put mitten gloves on kids forever, because then they become man babies. And look at a lot of Saudi men. They are man babies.
They are man babies. And the last point why I think Afghanistan is not going to go back into the same chaos, civil war, hotbed for terrorist organizations like last time is that this time around, every neighboring state, in fact, every state in the world, every country in the world, every Muslim country in the world has realized that using extremist ideology to pursue national interest backfires, which they didn't at the time.
Oh.
Everyone was using them, and because countries like Pakistan, countries like Iran, all of them had some vested interest in some extremist organization that was taking over the country. Now, countries, including Saudi Arabia, has realized that eventually comes and fucks us back.
Yeah.
So I don't think the fact that radical Islamist ideology in Afghanistan is not going to have a sugar daddy in some state will again force them to look for political settlements. Taliban will take over the country, but that's something that we had predicted. And let's be real, the majority of the population should have say in their country too.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
That's probably a good idea. Anyway, so I'm going to...
But the real question is Fox News or CNN correct in their pronunciation of Afghanistan? Is it Afghanistan or Afghanistan?
Afghanistan.
Oh, really? All I can remember is that one chick that's really old and very tanned and looks like that she should be a mum on the Gold Coast on CNN, but it's just been like, I've been to Istanbul too many times to go to the Golden Iguana on the Strip. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. What the hell are you talking about?
He's the man that deserves the final word.
There you go. All right. Here's final word from Miss Love.
On what? On
Maybe
that
finish
subject?
off with the Buttsman's final words.
The Buttsman?
Yeah.
What's this? Is it sup, motherfuckers?
You want me to do it?
No, I'll do it. Sup, cunts. So basically, if everyone looks back at it, Trump was the one saying, let's get out of all these fucked countries anyway. So, let's get the fuck out. I think Joe Biden's creepy, translucent skin is fucking creepy as much as the next pleb, mate. But I reckon it's about time they get the hell out of there and focus on rebuilding those fucking car factories in Detroit. Anyway,
Be a good cunt. Me dick stinks, and I'll see you next time.
Peace in the Middle East.
Peace
This
in the
man
Middle
says.
East.
See you guys.